Hello. Okay. Huh? I said we joined the meeting. Hey, Jess.
Hi, Billy.
How are you?
Oh, lovely. How are you?
That's all I got.
I'm just fabulous on a Monday.
1 second, Jess. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Looks like
Hi. I need to change my mug.
Oh, man, that sucks. This is your old man? Melissa. Hey, Sarah. Sarah.
oh, we're muted.
you
I
go.
said que sera. I'm trying to get on my computer, but it's not working.
It's all right.
But we're right at 6. Are we the only ones here?
1, 2, 3, 4. Gina's here.
She's just, Gina's not technically here. She just opened it up for us.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
We're
So,
getting a couple people jumping on.
okay. Okay, well then I'll wait just a minute to see if David's getting on, and then I'll call it to order and we'll get going.
Perfect.
I don't need to be in it very much.
That's my only input right there.
Well, do you wanna like? Hold it up, please? You wanna come sit here?
Okay, yeah. Oh, it's so comfy. Giant blanket. My butt's bigger than that.
We're in.
Scooch tiny rear. Okay, so I messaged David. I haven't heard back from him, but I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. So we have the 5 members here. I am Sarah Fotheringham.
I'm Melissa Ducker.
Billy Rowe.
I'm Jess Michael.
Okay, and then Jess, can you post the agenda in the comments for everyone to follow along with?
I already did.
Okay, perfect. She already did. So just so everybody knows, this is Jess and she is the new board secretary. And this is her first meeting. And if you want to go ahead and say hi, Jess, you can, and introduce yourself a little bit.
Okay, my name's Jess Michael. I've lived in the neighborhood for 6 years in May. I have 2 boys. I work in solar development for utility scale and doing environmental and permitting. So I'm an environmentalist and just happy to be here.
I made it.
Hi, David. Melissa and Sarah, you're muted.
Okay, go.
Sorry, I
We
said
switched hands. So I
we're gonna
think-
get right going with the first item on the agenda. So we're gonna start talking about the towing, parking, and updates. And I am just pulling up so we have the dates for the notes when people were emailed about the towing.
somewhere.
Oh, there's a lot of emails. Okay, let's see. Sent. Okay, so homeowners were notified March 20th about the new Google Doc for the visiting parking, and it was also posted on Facebook the same day. We do not have contact with homeowners that rent, so we kind of are at the mercy of their landlords to downspout that information. And regarding the parking and the vehicle rules, they were attached in the email for everyone to view. And I also contacted Gina because they were not on the website. So they are now on the website for homeowners to view as well. And for the most part, I think things went all right with the towing, but a couple of incidences came up where I think that there's been a confusion amongst the majority of the neighborhood where they thought they just couldn't park in visitor parking from 1 to 5 a.m. But it's that no residents are allowed to use the visitor parking. They're just for visitors. And if the visitors are overnight, then there needs to be a pass. And one of the problems that we realized that were in the rules is that it says that they can only really request 1 pass per month or that they can be fined. So what I was thinking is if we did an overnight option, as long as it can't be if it can't be reserved, requested, consecutively, then that would give people that have more than 1 visitor once a month an option. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think that's a really good solution for what most homeowners would probably need. So I'm on board with that.
Yeah, because I think you would have like the overnight option for, visitors around here. You would still have the 72-hour option and the week option for if your parents are coming from out of town for a week and driving or renting a car. So I think it's a decent option. Ugh. People are calling me.
Really, really quick, when you say the overnight option, Sarah, are you referring to just one overnight option? Because really that is that, so what you're saying is a 24-hour option, a 72-hour option, and a 1-week option, and they can apply for one of each within a month period.
Oh, I know.
No, you mean an overnight more than once a month.
Yeah, so like if I have somebody visit me the first week, I can request one. If I have somebody visit me the third week, I can request a 24-hour pass and there's no penalty. It's just the parameters of it would be that I can't reserve it consecutively to monopolize it by just requesting overnight, 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 overnight. But it eliminates that the problem with people needing far less than 72 hours. It gives them an option. And then it also frees up and gets rid of the only one, excuse me, only one request for a possible fee as well.
And it kind
Okay,
of
so-
takes oh, go ahead.
So then you're saying one 24-hour overnight request per week.
Per, I guess, 24 out, well, 30, 48 hours.
What she was thinking was if you got it on a Wednesday night, you couldn't get it on Thursday night, but you could get it on Friday. But I haven't quite figured out in my head
That's what I did mean. Yeah.
how you
we
can't
gotta-
go like every other forever. So
Right. So that's where, for me, the challenge comes in is you create a loophole where every other night somebody is parking in the community, and with the number of parking spaces that we have in visitor parking, literally somebody could have, what would that be if you were just doing every other night? Or, I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't do a week pass, but if you're just doing every other night, you'd have a parking spot 4 to 3 nights out of the week reserved for your visitors. And that seems like it's an over adjustment from where we're at. I definitely don't think that we should be charging a fine for somebody who wants to rent a spot or have a visitor pass for 24 hours and then they want another one in the month. But I feel like that every other day, if they can just plug that into that, I would exhaust my 1 week. I mean, this is not me because I have a spot that's available for visitors, but I could exhaust the 1 week, I could exhaust the 72 hours, and then every other day I could be applying for a 24-hour pass. I think there does need to be some kind of guideline around that.
I think it's super tricky to come up with the right guideline because I don't have a ton of visitors coming, but I very well could have my parents come 1 week and my sister like driving through like a few days later, like I think it's really tricky to like find that right balance.
And also like, since we started enforcing the parking, I've had people reach out to me and there are lots of different like family dynamics amongst the neighbors. And some of them have a family member or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a parent or whatever stay 1, 2, 3 nights a week to help with.
Sorry, you're gone. I don't hear you.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, you said
Okay.
some family members have like boyfriend,
Oh,
girlfriend,
it's
whatever.
okay. I can start over. So like we have lots of different family dynamic needs in the neighborhood. And so if people have like boyfriends or girlfriends, or they have babysitters or parents or things like that, that come over and spend the night more than once a week, there needs to be an option for their visitor, because that's what it is, to be in overnight parking without it being 72 hours. Or maybe the answer is just I don't know if the answer is just getting rid of the verbiage that they can only request one a month, but there has to be something between nothing and 72 hours and more frequent than once a month.
Yeah, I agree with that. But do you not, I guess for me, like if I'm taking myself out of the community and trying to think if I'm a visitor, granted, as a visitor coming to visit my girlfriend, I want to be able to park in the visitor parking. However, as a resident who may not have access to that visitor parking because your boyfriend's here every week or your girlfriend's here every week, at some point I start to think, well, they kind of live here. They're not the definition, in my definition, they're not a normal visitor who's coming to visit for whatever visitor reasons visitors visit. At that point, they start to kind of become a residence in the consistency in which they're in our community. Not that they have any rights to like the HOA or anything like that, but I start to feel like they're a resident. And I've been in communities where there was much more limited than the visitor parking that we have. It was much more limited, to where even that dynamic of me being in that community for more than 3 days I started falling under the guidelines for parking, not for like rules and regulations, but for parking under the guidelines of more of a residence, and was required to park out on the street. Wasn't very convenient for me, wasn't something that I wanted to do. I'm in a rental car. I don't want it to be vandalized. However, it's kind of unfair for me to monopolize that space. I mean, fortunately, I'm there for a week, so I'm going after that for like 3 months. But it feels kind of unfair for me to monopolize that space as a visitor in the community, and really I feel like taking that away from other people who may have visitors who now have to park out on the street because I'm here on such a consistent basis.
I think once, oh, somebody's raising their hand. Hold on, let me say this and then we'll ask Lisa. Lisa can say something. I think I don't think the issue is visitors using up all the visitor parking spaces. I think it's third car, fourth car, homes using up those spaces. And I think if that is fixed, then like the visitor spots can actually be used as visitors. How many visitor spots do we have?
47, 48.
Like, I don't think we're ever going to have 47 or 48 visitors from 1 to 5 a.m. once the other parking situation gets taken care of. Anyway,
Okay.
I think that's a thought. Anyway.
No, I
I mean,
think you're absolutely right.
So go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, I was just thinking between maybe what Billy was saying, that maybe there can be multiple requests during the month, but with a maximum of X days per month could be utilized. So maybe they can request it, but be granted it, 10 days a month or 6 days a month, something where there's a maximum that way. That might be able to be the tie between all or nothing.
Mhm.
Excuse me, I only have one car, and so I have an extra spot, which I let, if they talk to me, I let people park there. Is that okay?
Yes.
You can do what-
Someone had a good idea on Facebook too of maybe like a place where everyone can list if they have an extra spot and if they want to rent that, or if they, because that would be an ideal situation for people who have a third car to find a situation like that or park on the street.
Yeah, I have a third car and I pay my neighbor for her spot once a month because they only have one car. So
I would like off the bat, I would assume that place would be Facebook. Like you could put on there, like basically, for lack of a better word, advertise that you have an extra spot if somebody is interested to message you. The hard thing and downside of Facebook is not everybody is on it, but it's kind of the best, quickest route of communication we have.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm in the same boat. We only have one car in our household. And so we have an extra spot, but our neighbors are good about asking us, hey, is it okay if we use your extra parking? And we're always like, go ahead. There's only 2 visitor spots over in this particular area of the community. So having that extra spot for me is really good from the perspective of, if I do have a visitor, I have a place for them to park. Because until we started actually, and I agree with you, Melissa, because until we started actually enforcing parking rules, it felt like a lot of the visitor spots over here, the 2 that we do have, were always occupied by a resident. And now I'm noticing as I drive into the community, it's like, oh, the visitor spots are open. And this is during hours when any visitor can park without a permit in them. So I think that we're definitely in the right track, and just with a little bit of fine tuning, we'll be able to find something that works well for the community as a whole.
Okay. Is it Julia? I don't want to say it wrong.
Yes, it is. Thank you. So what about instead of advertising on Facebook, because I don't have Facebook, for example, we advertise it in the HOA website. And because we don't want to advertise to the world that we have, parking spots. And so we don't want to make it too public. I think it's our stuff, it's private. So it should be only among us. So I would suggest just do it on the HOA website. And
Private.
I have another question. If I want to buy a visitor spas or rent it, let's say, how much is a month? Can I do so?
Yeah, so they're $35 a month, and there are
35, okay.
six of them spread out around the community,
Okay.
and they're reserved for 6 months at a time. So if you want one in there, you use that Google Doc that was emailed to everybody, and you can
Right.
get put either in a spot or on a waiting list if they're all full. So then when the first one runs their 6-month
Yeah.
course, then you'd be the next or wherever you fall in the line available.
Yeah, I thought it was for a charge, but I didn't remember. So $35 per month. Okay.
Yeah, and as
Very
far as
good.
like the HOA website goes,
Mhm.
we can reach out to them, but we have no control on what is posted where. The Facebook page is private, so it is only amongst people in the
Oh, it would
community.
be. Oh,
But
okay. So
but
then-
we
but I-
can definitely look into options. That's a good idea.
Right, right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So then, Billy, what then? Oh, Lisa, do you have another?
No, that was just my comment, just trying to bridge
Oh,
that gap. between
Sorry,
all of
that little hand emoji. I didn't know if you had something else to say. That's totally fine.
Thank
Billy, with the
I'm laughing at you.
I don't care if Billy laughs at me, you little cheeky. So Billy, with the like what we're talking about, I understand what you're saying about like, oh, I'll request this pass and this pass and this pass. Now that we've like talked about it more, what are your thoughts on a 24-hour pass, or what kind of parameters do you think it should have?
No, I think, well, I'm a math person. So if we have 145 units, is that how many we have? 145
Correct.
units, and there's 42 spots, then you just divide it and say, okay, hey, we're going to have the 72-hour, the 1 week, and then we can allocate based according to that, however many 24-hour passes that would be the maximum. So if it's like 4 or 5 a month that they can request for 24 hours. So really you're going above what the capacity is. But for a person like me, all my visitors would be coming from California. So I don't have visitors. But what you're doing is you're giving them 5 additional, hey, you have these overnight stays that you can also use. So you can use your 72-hour, you can use your 1 week, and then you can every other day, if you wanted to go for 10 days, every other day, you can use 5 of your 24-hour passes. I've seen people abuse openness, not necessarily here, but that's been in my history. I've seen people abuse openness as loopholes, and I really want to close the loopholes because, walking around and doing parking enforcement at 1 o'clock in the morning is not my jam.
Right.
I don't think it's anyone's jam.
Mitch, what do you think?
So one of my big things is I think there really needs to be a strong differentiation between, those so-called long-term visitors or versus multiple vehicles versus the overnight here and there. I think the big struggle there is when people have visitors, but they come for a 2 or 3 week stay, and we open that up to multiple, hours, things like that. Or all of a sudden it's, oh, my plans just changed and I'm staying for a little bit longer. How does that get differentiated in that aspect? I think people having multiple cars, using their neighbors, things like that is one thing, because I know I've done that in the past. But how do you differentiate those long-term visitors or the more regular versus what a true visitor is and somebody just visiting, right?
I think that's the
Right.
purpose of the Google Doc, to keep track of all of that. Sarah, I don't know if you had more to say on that.
Well, I was gonna say, I think part of it is because I thought this when Billy spoke earlier too. I think we're getting into kind of some gray area as far as definitions go of resident, visitor, things like that. And overall, like Melissa said earlier, the biggest problem we've had with parking is the monopolization from 3+ cars, not visitors. So I don't know if we need to problem solve for all the possible variations. I think we need to be mindful of them without dicing and really whittling down definitions. I think that Mitch brings up a good point. Like plans do change. So like if you have a visitor for a few nights and you've already requested a 72-hour pass and then you need it longer, I don't think you should be penalized for that. Where there are the 48, 49 visitor spots, I have a hard time imagining that there would be such a need that all of them would be requested for and used at once. Of course, things do happen, but I think that overall there's got to be something in between nothing and 72-hour pass, and there definitely needs to be something that's more free.
I'm just grateful for whoever's putting the orange stickers on the window.
You can thank Katie.
That's our parking enforcer.
Along those same lines, I will say, like, these are our visitor spots to use. So I don't think we need to nickel and dime every single little minute that someone is using it. We have the visitor spots available to us. Is someone else talking? Sorry.
It's echo.
Okay. We have the visitor spots available. I think we need to work from an aspect of helping homeowners versus trying to whittle down everyone's options. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I feel like it's a balance between convenience to the residents and then, making sure everybody has equal opportunity to the visitor spots. I feel like the best way to do this is by scheduling in advance, which should be taken care of with the Google Doc. Because if there is space available, then, why not? But if there isn't space available, then maybe, maybe those people that are using it more frequently should have to wait in line, because it's not fair for the one person that had their long lost brother come by and, oh, well, boyfriend's here, so sorry. So I don't know how much data we have on that, because since the crackdown, are we struggling for visitor spots? I thought we had a ton. So
there are a ton. Every night there's tons. So it's really just the third car.
Yeah, and there's just not a ton by some homeowner. Like a third of the neighborhood only has a couple. So when those are being used by a resident, their options are up the hill or way around the corner. It's just not convenient to a third of the neighborhood. So
unfortunately, we can't change that though. We can't
No.
change where they're located, but we have enough.
Yes,
Sorry.
there are, you can choose to park on the street that is closer to that third of the neighborhood, or you can park up the hill. There is visitors parking, but the other night there was nobody in visitor parking. So
Yeah.
I think it's becoming a lot better.
Good.
Maybe we can go to a labeling system of those visitor spots and then say the ones up in that all right next to each other, long-term visitors, please come over here. Short-term visitors can, do whatever, maybe that's an option if that
Feels kind of nitpicky. Again, my issue is not, I guess my issue is more so down the road, to Sarah's point, in that gray area, if we do see the abuse. But to David's point, we have the analytics with the Google form, and we'll have the analytics with parking enforcement. But we can treat it as until there's an issue, there is no issue. But there was an issue, and I feel like we have corrected the initial issue that was creating the challenge for visitor parking. But if then there is no other issue to follow up in, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But again, the analyst in me says, watch the data and see if there's a trend. And if you see the trend, then you have to address the trend before it becomes another issue. Because in all honesty, I have no desire for anybody's car to be towed, visitor, resident, or otherwise. But at the same time, if that's what corrects the trend, then you do what needs to be done to correct the trend.
So just to make sure we're reading comments, Elsie said, I think everyone is making a good point. It seems like you are all in a tough situation here, like David's idea. And then Mitch said there's tons of spots now because of the crackdown. We've discussed the difficulty of renters and inability to communicate. The more it opens up, I fear it gets taken advantage of and gets messy. Multiple cars are a huge issue, always has been until the crackdown happens every time. So what I'd like to suggest then is that like we as a board, we continue talking about this and have a solution before next month's meeting as far as what that option will be and what the parameters are of that and then that'll be able to be presented formally to everyone so they can attend the meeting and discuss it like we did with the garbage rules. Does that sound like a fair goal for next month?
That sounds attainable.
Okay. All right, so the second, oh, Julia, so if you need a third car and you need an additional car parking, you pay to use the visitor parking $35 a month.
Yeah, if it's available.
Yeah, because there's only 6 of them throughout the community. So if there's one available, you, like I said earlier, you just use that Google Doc to get that information. You fill out a request for it, and then you'll be able to get an email back with the information you need for it. So
Sarah, just to clarify, when people say pay to use visitor parking, really it's pay to use the permit parking section.
correct. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't want them to be confused.
Thank you.
And you're only guaranteed it for 6 months because if someone's on the waiting list, you're bumped out of it.
Yeah.
Now, since like we're really taking down the resident parking, is this something that we want to redo the parking spots so there's less than 3, but then like there's more paid for parking, or like up in.
So you cut off, David, but I get what you're about to ask. So if you pull up my, I can send it to you. Because somebody asked that question on Facebook. So I attached the Lehigh City PUD laws. And so we have to, by city ordinance, provide 1 parking spot for every 3 residents. 1 visitor. Yeah, 1 visitor spot per every 3 units, every 3 residents. And we can't change that because that's city PUD laws.
Got it. Are we able to open up the 1 spot where there's this kind of it's by Jess's house. There's no parking available, but like it looked like there was going to be a house that went up there, but it's just a blank area. And it looked like enough for 2 spots. Like, can we redo the paint there and then have 2 more paid parking spots right there?
We can't, because that's where the dump truck or the garbage truck, because it's the front dumpster. That's where, that's how the garbage truck dumps the dumpster. So we can't have parking there.
Okay. All right. Just trying to get
I'm
more.
so sorry.
Stop trying to come up with solutions, David.
Just looking out for the community. That's all.
Good job, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Good job.
Okay, so then as far as the next order of business, the maintenance request. Yeah. So if you guys pull up I had Gina email it to the Davencourt email. And it's entitled Davencourt Updated Work.
Did you just want to go through that whole list, or how do you want to do it, Sarah?
Well, normally we do go through the whole list, but for the sake of time, like I said to the board earlier, so I emailed Zach, who is our CPA that works at HOA West for us. We had a really big problem with our funds being transferred to us from Ryan at ACS, thank you. And that just got released to us. So now that that's been released and cleared to the bank, and we now have everything that we need, I really need Zach to sit down with us as a board and give us a very clear snapshot of what the last 4 months have looked like and what our reserves need to be. Because I know that we approved the parking structure, which was a necessity, but a very expensive one. We did go with Boulder Landscaping that was cheaper than Viridian, which is awesome. So the thing is that we can definitely go through them one by one. I haven't looked at them, so I don't know if all of them are money applicable. But as far as money things go, I have a very hard time having a very realistic conversation about it because I don't have a clear grasp of where we are financially as a neighborhood since the transition and our money being released to us.
Sounds like a plan.
I think that makes sense. So is this something you'd like to put a pin in for this moment, or
I think she does want to, because Zach said he could meet with whoever's available to meet next week. I don't know with the board. I'll be gone, but Sarah will be here. So I think we were gonna, when we scheduled next month's meeting, I think she wanted to see who was available to meet with him. And then we could go through the work orders, maintenance requests and stuff, and know like what we could say yes to financially. Obviously, there's like some pretty big safety concerns and like water stuff that like needs to be taken care of sooner than later. So
There are,
like yesterday.
I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
mean to
you're
cut you off.
fine. I
There-
decided to keep talking.
There are a couple work orders here that don't have anything to do with money.
Okay.
Like there's one here for 3976. They're in the Davencourt property. So we kind of talked about this on the messaging, but they're getting their new Tesla delivered and was wondering if they could install a Tesla charger in their carport. And so now that we've had some like time to think about, like there are, like I said, so I think we should go through the ones that don't require money. But as far as the money goes,
I'm gonna talk to Zach.
I really think that it's important for us, especially David as the treasurer, to talk to Zach so that we know what is going on financially for our community before we either approve or deny something haphazardly.
I think that's very wise.
As far as that goes, I know about May 5th or later, I have plenty of time to go crunch numbers. If that's enough time to push back, yeah, like I can, like that is my project as of May 5th and later.
May 5th. So that's,
But are you free next week at all to talk to Zach?
No,
he
I
has-
can't. Does it have to be during the day?
I think regarding meeting with Zach, maybe we should keep that to talk about later and just address the ones right now that don't have anything to do with money.
okay. So if you pull up the document, Davencourt. It says Davencourt 3976. And you guys don't have to pull it up if you don't, I can read it too. So my name is Lindsay and I own 3976 at Davencourt Blue Property. I'm getting my brand new Tesla delivered soon. And I was wondering if I could install a Tesla charger in my carport. Do I need approval for that? If you could let me know through a text message. And I've been texting her as we've been talking, and then she gives her phone number. So because we did just buy a new carport and it's what, $12,000. I'm really not liking the idea of her installing it. And so then when I talked to her, she sent us the picture that I sent you guys. So the outside port that is on her house, her code has to be a GFI because it's so close to water, but it can't be a GFI with the system that she's using. And so then she said that she would have the wire off the box and come up through her unfinished basement and go under the sidewalk and then come up out of the concrete. And I think that it's a situation where it sucks because I don't know how she's going to charge her car otherwise. But on the other hand, like as far as dealing with common area and limited common area and going below concrete and sprinklers and everything like that, I think it's a nightmare waiting to happen. And I don't know how we would get through the logistics of ever getting to a point where that could be approved.
I think you're right, especially with liability issues. And especially like the carport, I think is an automatic no. As you said, that was too expensive to attach anything else separate to it. But for like digging up under someone's lawn or anything like that. I just I really do think that's a liability issue waiting to happen. And there's other people with electric cars in the community, so I know there's some kind of way to make it work.
Well, some people plug their extension cord in the house and then run it to the car and plug it into the car with their device. That's what they do. So there is a cord across the sidewalk. That's what they do.
So then what do you think, David and Billy?
Elsie just put in here, I wonder if we could create a motorcycle on electric car area. I just don't know how I don't know enough about electric cars to know how the electricity would be paid for or metered in an electric car area. And I can only imagine that getting a solar powered electric car area would be extremely expensive. I don't know, we have a solar expert, so.
You would need too much solar. We don't have enough room.
Yes. So it's challenging, and I feel like it is a limitation of our community. And though I would love to overcome that limitation and I would love to be able to provide a solution, I just don't see it being feasible. Even with running the extension cord, that becomes a tripping hazard in the sidewalk. And so we kind of need to create some guidelines around, hey, there needs to be a mat down, or there needs to be something over that cord so people are not tripping over it, because then we're liable for them tripping on that cord. And then our insurance goes up, and then the HOA fees goes up, and it just becomes a snowball effect. I feel like I'm doom and gloom today. I'm sorry, you guys.
No, I agree. I mean, I don't think we should attach anything to the carports. If you are going to run an extension cord, part of the running an extension cord should include some sort of mat. So, both to protect your cord and to stop people from tripping. And it's going to be a lot cheaper than if you attach something that carport and the carport comes down, that's a risk. We can't say it doesn't happen. It did. So.
So then as far as that maintenance request goes, let's draft an email explaining all that. And we'll just do that in the Davencourt drafts. And then once we are all on the same page with that, we'll email it to Lindsay and Gina. So Gina's aware of what's going on. And then as far as the electric cord and things like that, that would need to be an update in the neighborhood rules. So we can start working on that as well. So I'm just writing notes here. So neighborhood rules, and then you were saying a map possibly over it. All right, okay. So then the other action item is 3924. So yesterday during the windstorm, a couple of pieces of trim from the carport in front of our place came loose. I put them in my backyard so they would not continue to blow around and cause damage to cars. These pieces need to be replaced or reattached. I would think we should reach out to the vendor that's coming out the 4th and the 5th to replace the carport to see if that's an option.
Trim on the carport?
It's on the front. I've seen it. It's a ledge.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, Jess?
I missed the part where what you said blew off, but then you said comfort.
Oh, I apologize.
No, you're good. I'm just taking notes, so you're good.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about that as being the solution, is talking to the vendor we already have coming out?
Yeah, especially how difficult it was to get a vendor and how far out they were scheduled. If we can knock that out with the same vendor, that's probably most time efficient. Really quick, Tony, I seen Tony's hand was up. Tony, you took your hand down. Are you okay, Tony?
Actually, I was just thinking about if, as you make a rule or anything in the HOA or the minutes about extension cords or anything, if you talk to an attorney, because once you say something, it kind of exposes you one way or another that you're aware of the problem. So I think that extension cord right by our house is a big liability. People go to church every day. And I think it's probably a lot of HOAs are dealing with this as we speak. There's probably the best practices, but I don't know what it is. But I think we may want to be real careful about putting something in that we're aware of the problem and get some legal advice on it.
You charge how much a car, you gotta charge it somehow.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Is like, if I had to make a legal assumption based off the top of my head, I would assume that because the homeowner is encroaching on the limited common area and creating an obstacle, that if there were any accidents or damage caused to persons or property because of that, the homeowner is who would be liable for it. But like you said, like being mindful of the verbiage is going to be really important. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's,
Or if we say, if you have one, put a mat over it, then we're kind
yeah.
of saying you.
Maybe the HOA's insurance person
With the electric car?
would refer us to the attorney on that, because I'm sure they're dealing with it elsewhere too.
That's a good idea to talk to the insurance as well.
Kinda like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I would see the-
What does that say? Oh, an extension create a trip. Can be covered on the sidewalk while all other areas still remain exposed. Yeah, Mitch, that's what I was saying, is where like that if where you're encroaching onto the limited common area and the public access being the sidewalk, you're assuming any and all liability and damage. So if somebody falls and breaks their arm because of your extension cord, you would be liable. So I don't know how we're gonna deal, and maybe it's not something that we do address, or other than saying no, but if we say no, then cars can't be charged. So it's something that we're definitely going to have to discuss further as we say attorney or insurance will say no. HOA West didn't even want us to say we had an HOA. That's because they're smart, Mitch. They're smart. So I agree. I think that I don't know if there is a solution for this, where like Billy was saying a bit ago, that our neighborhood is not conducive, for lack of a better word, for electric car charging. Definitely something to talk about. It's a problem. I don't know if that's a problem, but it's something that doesn't have an easy solution, that's for sure.
Let's do it. Flat out. Plans.
And I'm just scanning through these. Okay, the rest.
That's right, I got a car. I get an electric bill, don't I? Do I get an electric?
Anyone who is not actively talking on the meeting, if you could please try to mute your speaker. It's in the bottom left-hand corner of Zoom. Thank you.
Okay. The other like handful, there's only like 5 maintenance requests we have to do with money and things like that. So we can put those on the back burner for mid-April. Like definitely we're not going to just ignore them until next meeting, but until we have that conversation with Zach. And that kind of feeds right into our next item, number C, the railing bids. So everybody on the board, I've emailed for you to see them. So we kind of have an idea of what we're looking at financial wise. That'll definitely have to be part of the conversation we have with Zach. So then D, the spring cleanup and summer dump. That does tie back into money, but I know that the board in previous years has afforded the homeowners with a dumpster for spring cleanup. I don't have a lot of faith in the neighborhood when it comes to garbages. And part of the reason is in December when we got the dumpster and we put the requirements on everybody's front door that like boxes needed to be broken down and it was just for trash. That was completely ignored multiple times. And I'm not saying that people should be punished, but I don't have a lot of faith in.
He doesn't want extra fines.
Well, that's what it boils
Yeah.
down to.
Like if we spend money to help the neighborhood out, especially where we can't put that stuff in our current dumpsters, we don't want to pay like double the amount because we're being fined for breaking the rules. And we don't even know what our money situation is right now.
Right, right. I know that a dumpster is not just based on the price we paid for the Christmas dumpster. Now, that being said, the Christmas dumpster was much smaller than what I think the homeowner on Facebook was talking about. They were asking for a place to dump like mattresses and bikes. And maybe the answer is we just do a smaller one like we did for Christmas, depending on budget and, you know, where we want to spend money. But maybe the other option is just having people understand that the dump is open 7 days a week. I've gone down there, like I took 6 dining chairs a couple weeks ago.
Did you get a trailer?
No, I
No.
broke them down and put them in the back of my Tahoe, and it cost $11 to dump them. So we can definitely look into if that's something we want to, as far as like a spring cleanup, or just making sure people understand the dump option. Oh, somebody did post on there. Maybe we need to look into posting or like making a post and tagging it on the Facebook page. I got to write this note while I say this. For people that come to clean up the garbage, you know what I mean? Like a phone number you can call. Maybe we need to provide options for homeowners that way.
Sarah,
Uh-huh.
I happened to see that post, and my brother-in-law is coming to get some stuff from me, and he has a dump trailer. So the mattress is taken care of.
Oh, okay. Okay. But for other people that have the same, maybe they don't have a car that they can use to get items to the dumpster, maybe a simple answer would be creating a few local options for homeowners for like a call and pick up junk type place.
Did you see this?
No, I didn't. Okay, I agree with Sarah. It brings a little benefit, but not compared the possible issues. We get trash blowing in our yard still, and I believe the owners are legitimately trying. So having a dumpster of that size has a lot of potential issues, I think. Yeah, so as far as like the blowing around trash, that's why when we amended the trash rules, we wanted it to be, all trash has to be bagged, because when those dumpsters dump, all the loose trash, if there's any wind, get blown out and get blown throughout the community.
Or just out of the dumpster.
Or just out of the dumpster and onto the road and just all over the place. So that's why that rule is in place. As far as violations go, I think there's only been issued a few since we got all the new dumpsters. And most of them have been from people not breaking down their giant boxes. I also think the apartments across the street dumping our dumpsters, and getting a big one is just asking for them to use it when they drive by and see it. Yeah, so that, we would have to put it up in the neighborhood like we did the Christmas one to kind of conceal it, if that's what we decide to do. Do you guys have any ideas or comments as far as like the summer dumpster goes? I know it's kind of hard because we kind of feel like our hands are tied as far as talking about money, but
I think if money is there, I think it's a great option to have one time. But
I agree. I think a lot of homeowners appreciate it, you know, spring cleaning, etc. I don't know if we need to maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say we're going to have like people watching the dumpster or anything, but maybe just put huge signs on it and put signs on everyone's door again. I don't really know the best way to prohibit these other things that are happening, but I do think overall a lot of people would love to have the dumpster for this opportunity.
I think a lot of people don't have like the car size to dump stuff either.
yeah. So Mitch said, is it possible to modify garbage rules to expand from bags only to potential boxes that are sealed to contain for heavier items? So that's when we had that conversation on the phone, Mitch, before the last garbage one, we did discuss this at the meeting when we talked.
You're muted, Sarah.
Sorry, did you hear any of that?
we did discuss this at the meeting.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
You-
thank you. So we discussed that at the last meeting and we ended up deciding that it needed to be in the bags just because that's what the trash needs to be, because the boxes have been taking up so much space in the dumpsters prior, even whether they're full of garbage or not.
Yeah,
In
and even
addition,
when-
if you have boxes that are heavy, it's potential that if enough people do that, the dumpster be too heavy to dump. That's a problem.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, that was when we were addressing the garbage issue, that was mostly what we were picking up, like when Sarah and I would be out there, or even when everybody else would be out there, it would be boxes that weren't broken down, that could have been heavy at one point, but if the stuff falls out, or there's so many things that can happen. And so we're like picking up a bunch of loose trash and boxes, and then people throwing bags on top of that. Though I do not like having to break boxes down and put them into trash bags. That's what I've been doing since the rules changed. And or really the rules haven't even changed since the rules are now being enforced. That's what I've been doing. And we just kind of keep a bag at the door and break down boxes as they come in, because we get boxes every day. If it's a cereal box, if it's an Amazon box, of just boxes. I didn't realize we had so many boxes in life. But as I'm breaking them down, once that fills up, we tie it off and we throw it in. And I've noticed that our dumpster area here in the I believe it's the north side of the community, is actually the area is staying cleaner when the dumpster, when ACE, what's the contractor? Not ACS.
ACE, ACE.
ACE, thank you. When ACE comes through to actually take the trash, I'm noticing there's not a lot of that falling debris now, because again, when you turn something upside down and it's paper, it tends to float. And I know the wind is just crazy out here. So as inconvenient as it is, it's a lot more convenient than having to go out there and pick up trash when it's wasted all over the place.
Agreed, 100%. And to that note, Billy and I spent like an hour cleaning up a dumpster surround, and then we were standing there chit-chatting afterwards, and somebody brought a box full of things and threw it in the dumpster, and it spilled all over right in front of us. So that was kind of like the incident that made it not an option.
Well, and we just changed the garbage rules, so I don't think we're gonna I don't think we need to talk about,
update them again.
Yeah, like it's been 1 month, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
Just so the board knows, I get tons of boxes from my daughter's medical, and I try and give them away for moving. So if you hear people, please let them know I have boxes.
Okay, thank you. Then will you pull up that chat so I can read them? So I'm assuming this is Gina, but it says, "Hey, Sarah and Melissa, I'm not joining in, but just saw about parking. I've called Lehigh City to see if we can utilize some of the visitor spots for reserved parking. I'm waiting for an answer. Could be beneficial, especially since so many are not utilized." So we'll see what they say. I would be shocked if they said anything contrary to the PUD rules and what we've already been talking about tonight. But if they do, we'll go from there. And then the other one from Trevor.
Oh, sorry.
Trevor said, "Yeah, I agree. The trash rules have been effective for the most part." So that's good. So we're seeing results. So then next is pest control. The current pest control company wants us to renew our contract with them. Yes, it does default back to money, but some of the benefits that they provide that some of the homeowners aren't even aware of is that they do, because we do a contracted exterior contract with them, they do a discounted interior and backyard option for homeowners. And I am assuming, I didn't see it in the contract, but I'm assuming that's the same thing. We would want to clarify on that.
I can't remember. Sorry, I can't remember what's the company. Is it Buffos or is it someone else?
It's Buffos.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are quoting, I'm just pulling it up for us.
You need to make a
I know.
folder. Jess,
lot.
you need to make her a folder.
It's a lot. There's a lot of emails here.
I can
Okay.
help you.
Okay, HOA DocuSign for pest control. So it is from,
It's loading.
hold please.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is from the Buffalo Pest Control, and it's for $1,400 a year. And in the description, it says treatment for the above marked pests to be treated 4 times, which includes ants, box elderbugs, crickets, earwigs, spiders, wasps, bats, and mice. To be treated 4 times approximately every 6 to 8 weeks. Exterior will be treated automatically. Interiors are covered in this program and scheduled by the homeowner, so they're not even discounted, they're covered.
I don't, it says what?
Interiors are covered in this program and scheduled by the homeowner.
Hmm.
Interior,
Before it's
and then
been
it says star
$15.
interiors and backyards are paid for by the homeowner.
Oh.
Glad we read, are paid for by the homeowner at a discounted rate. Exterior
Mhm.
treatments on the 38 building fronts, because they're considering each building a building, sides of buildings, perimeters, and events. So
I think it was like last time I did it, it was like $15 for the inside of your home and $25 for your backyard. And Mitch, I saw your comment. I'm totally with you. Please keep the contract if possible. It's very beneficial for the discounted rates and makes a huge difference. I try to spray every spring and end of fall. So I will be fighting for it.
so when you have them, do you have them do your interior?
Yes.
And it costs how much?
I want to say it was like 15. Mitch, how much do you pay? Like
So
it's like
that's
15
nothing.
for inside your house.
And then
As soon as I
little
see
more
a
for the
spider,
exterior?
I call them.
For
I
the
think it's like
backyard?
25 for your backyard, but I
Okay.
think some of the backyards they can't really get to. Some of the backyards they can bring their big fat hose and like really spray down. Some of the backyards they just have to have their little like pump and pump around the edges like they do inside your house. Better than nothing.
Okay.
I don't see very many spiders around here.
No, I haven't had a problem with them. I know that just when they do spray, if we could put that on, if we can put that on the, what's the word I'm looking for, calendar, so homeowners know, because it seems like every time that things were sprayed, they were worried about like plants or kids' toys or things like that on the front porch. So as long as we just work hard on keeping the homeowners informed, I don't think we'll have a problem. And then moving to the next one, the garbage surround signs. So I got a text from Ace. They were a little confused because we still have some of the recycle signs up. So the recycle signs do need to be removed. I would assume we're going to store them either in the shed or dispose of them. And then I'm just trying to write notes and talk at the same time. Also, we have a homeowner that is willing to, if we are interested in having a shortened condensed version of the garbage rules posted on the surrounds, they're willing to, if we buy the metal mat for it, they're willing to put the permanent vinyl on. I don't know if that is something that you guys all want. I know that they're on the website and they were emailed out, so let's talk about that.
Right now.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Right now.
I didn't know.
So like an extra, kind of how the recycling signs are, they would put that like shortened rules on it at each. I think that's a good idea, honestly.
Yeah.
Just to have it, you know,
yeah, sorry, Jess. That was like an in-person interruption. Sorry. Go ahead.
Stop it. You're fine. I'm done. Keep going.
I just think like when you very first move in, like I put stuff in there that I did not, like I don't know the rules. Like I was a renter at like, this was like 11 years ago, but like I think people really easily put things in there and you have no clue. But if the rules are posted there, then you can't claim that you didn't know.
Agreed. I think that's actually like smart, and smart for us too. It's like double protecting or double enforcing, however you want to say. It's helpful, I think.
Do you have thoughts, Billy or David?
I'm gonna take a break from having thoughts, but thank you.
You don't have any negative ones? Come on, pick one
No,
out.
no more negativity. I can't let my day be ending on a negative note like that.
Got it. What about you, David? Do you have an opinion on it?
No, no opinion.
Okay, so then that's something that we can look further into and get coordinated and scheduled. As far as the agenda goes, are there any other homeowner questions or comments or things that you guys would like addressed? Trevor says that, okay, wait, let's make sure we do these. That's just the rates.
Usually, yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. So Trevor said, I support the rules idea. I think that most people do the right thing when they're reminded, so that's fair.
So now you're opening it to homeowner
Yeah,
questions.
yeah,
or
oh, yeah,
comments.
exactly. And you guys can
Yeah,
utilize, go ahead.
On the right side of as I go out the door, there's an area that's just all rocks. And I'm wondering, since nobody's gonna weed it because it's all rocks, can I put a little bigger pot there?
What you'd need to do, Judy, is take a picture of the area you're talking about and put it in they're not called action, maintenance request, so that we would know exactly the area you're talking about and we'll go from there. Is that fair?
That's fair. I just didn't know what to do because, I mean, there's nothing growing there and you know me, I've got to have a flower everywhere.
Sure.
That's why we love you, Judy.
Okay, so if there's nothing else and nobody has any last minute questions or anything, then we will go ahead and close the open portion of the meeting up and move to the closed portion. So thank you guys for attending. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
And then I can text Gina.
She made us admin, so she said we could just end it.
Okay, perfect.
But do we want to just end it and then get on like messenger phone? I don't know how to stop recording this.
We still have homeowners.
You guys should go.
Hold on, yeah. Thank you. That's nice, Elsie. So 8.
I kick people off.
That one.
But how?
I don't know. Click it. See what happens. One, 2, 3. Yep, that's it. You did it.
Okay, and then how do we stop recording?
So you go back to where you just were.
Oh, where was I?
More.
Oh, here.
Meeting recording. And then. Ooh. That's Gina. Just help us.
Jess, how do
You
we
can't,
stop?
can you boot them? Or
stop
no?
video?
Oh, no, we're trying to figure out how to end the recording.
Do you know how
So
to
just
end?
text Gina.
Yeah, I
Text
think
Gina,
Gina
but
has
she
to do
did
it.
say in the beginning that once it's over, somebody can text her to.
She also said in the middle, she made us admin, so we should be able to stop recording. Oh, recording.
If you hit on the